Hey guys, what's up? It's Ellie here. A new Deathloop trailer has just been released. Time to dive in and see what we can find. We start the new Deathloop gameplay trailer observing a section of a topographic map of the island of Black Reef. Now, by using this trailer alone, we can't exactly be sure where this is in relation to what we've already seen of the island. We obviously know that this location is home to the Black Reef, the island's namesake, as well as another clearly labelled location called the Vostar Proving Grounds. I'm not a topographic map expert, but it looks as if this location is set on a beach where the tide may rise and fall, or perhaps it was an old location that has since been reclaimed by the water. We can also see some observatory looking buildings on the upper right corner. They could very well be the locations of the laboratories we've been seeing glimpses of in the past. However, while we're here, I'm actually going to deviate from this particular trailer to a couple of others where the map has been shown in different forms. In the Deathloop Explains video, actually released after this trailer, the game's director Dinga Bakaba stands in front of a large detailed map of the island of Black Reef. We don't get to see it too closely, but we can use it to get a better idea of where we're looking at, as it is the full 2D version of the map in this trailer. We can also go back to the Two Birds One Stone gameplay trailer and take a look at the illustration of Black Reef to showcase the difference in location between the two visionaries, Igor Sterling and Alexis Dorsey. From what we can see here up against what we can see from the Deathloop Explained video, Igor Sterling seems to be located near the large Ark, which seems to be the location of a research facility, where Igor is conducting research and inventing new technology to aid the Aeon program. In the Deathloop Explained video, we can see a large black line here, which looks like this is where the Ark and research facility is, possibly referred to as the complex, or it might just be completely blanked out of the map. We can also observe what might be a crevice or a river flowing down into what looks like a densely populated area, which is likely the location we're seeing in the very first gameplay trailer, focused on locating visionary Alexis Dorsey, a location that looks to be labelled Carl's Bay. But back to the Deja Vu trailer's map. We now know that we can see Carl's Bay from this portion of the map, and therefore the location of a main town potentially, and Alexis Dorsey's mansion, which makes me want to rethink these observatory looking things. They might just be location markers or placeholder markers that specify these main location points. I mean, from what I guess, this one here on the beach is the cluster of buildings that make up some of the town that we see in the first gameplay trailer. The one up top would be Alexis's mansion where the party is held, and possibly a bit of that town as well. But I'm actually still unsure what this third location here is on the small island, which looks to be connected to the main island by a man-made bridge. I think this version of the map is more about aesthetics with some small reveals. It's part of the map which features the Black Reef, the island's namesake, as well as some almost out of view main locations without giving them away. In the beginning of this trailer, we get a quick shuffle through different locations and possibly visionaries that we haven't seen yet. We first see Jules and Alexis, but then we begin to see some new faces that could fill in the blanks of the visionaries we haven't yet seen. As we know, there are 8 visionaries, 8 targets Colt needs to eliminate within one loop. So far, we have the names of only 3. Juliana Jules Blake, Alexis the Wolf Dorsey, and Igor Sterling. Each gameplay trailer has seemingly brought us closer to another visionary. The names we haven't yet connected to a face are Ramblin' Frank Spicer, Charlie Montego, Fia Zabrowska, Harriet Morse, and Dr. Wenji Evans. I'm assuming that at this point of the trailer, we get to see all of the 8 visionaries, even if we don't have their introductory name tags attached. Each look at the new faces reveals a little bit about them. For example, I believe we have seen this character in some concept art released for Arkane 20, along with a bit more of the research location behind them. But as we keep watching, another identity is officially revealed to us. Before we get to that though, I just want to point out this location here. It's totally different to what we've seen before. It looks like it's within a cavern or a cave, which would make sense as this island seems to have many cliffs, and we can see some potentially quite cavernous areas too. Now, to be a little adventurous with my theories here, I'm thinking this place could be in one of these few potentially cavernous locations on the map. Here, 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 or here. My main thoughts are that it could very well be in this area shown in the beginning of the trailer, maybe explaining why we can clearly see the Vostar proving ground, and maybe explaining why it looks like it's in the reef. This is about all we see of this particular location, so I just wanted to point it out in case you missed it. I'm guessing it is part of the district that the next revealed Visionary is located. We also see two other environments. The first looks like someone's mansion. I'm unsure if it is Alexis Dorsey's. We see a bit of this similar red carpeted environment in the first gameplay trailer where Alexis Dorsey is featured, but these people aren't wearing the wolf masks like his guests seem to in more obvious Dorsey territory shots. So this could be a location of a different Visionary, or it could just be Dorsey's mansion. This environment gives me a smaller scale Royal Conservatory from Dishonored 2 vibes though. Just replace the taxidermy and sculptures with what I assume are discarded appliances. The second environment looks similar to this one in the gameplay reveal trailer. So possibly the outside environment to this mansion where we explore the area, make our way towards the main event, and consider different ways to enter. The next Visionary to be revealed introduces themselves as Ramblin' Frank, last name Spicer, as revealed by the first couple of trailers and end credits. They seem to be some sort of musically inclined character who might be a DJ you can tune into. We've seen jukeboxes, alarm clocks, listening devices, walkie-talkies, and other types of tech in the concept art, which might give us a clue as to how we might be able to hear from this Visionary throughout different districts, or maybe exclusively within the one of those districts if those signals are possibly limited by distance. We now get introduced to an official Deathloop original song called Deja Vu and fade into this scene with an old crashed plane, likely left behind from this island's military past. I could so imagine Colt making a comment about wishing he could fix it up and fly off the island away from the madness. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem like that will be an option for him though. We actually get a glimpse of the map of Black Reef a little more in this clip of the trailer, but it's covered in pictures and clues. It looks like the same map as the one featured in the Deathloop Explained video, and the setting seems to be quite reminiscent of Dishonored 2's Dreadful Whale hub, where over time clues and notes are added to the board and linked with thread. This leads me to believe that there is going to be a hub where we can come back to, like the Dreadful Whale or the Hound Pits pub in the Dishonored series. In a Games Radar interview with game director Dinga Bakaba, he mentions that he is unable to discuss much about progression, keeping weapons, etc. due to its ties with the central narrative, although there was confirmation that there was somewhat of a hub that the player will return to while hopping in between time periods and districts. And this might actually be it. Perhaps this is also where we will find the outfits, weapons, extra trinkets exclusively available with the pre-order bonus or deluxe editions. So now we're getting into the part of the trailer where I'm assuming we're beginning to explore the location of the next Visionary, Rambling Frank Spicer, and get a sneak peek of what's to come. The fact that we can see water here already puts us on a coast, and it makes it super likely to me that the map in the beginning of the trailer was actually setting us up in the next location. I'm not too sure if what we're seeing right here with Colt's arm, it looks like he's about to use or is using an ability, but it gets cut off by the next clip, so I'm wondering if it's actually something different. Usually this seemingly supernatural attachment glows gold when Colt's using an ability, or at least the abilities we've seen, so this might actually be the attachment becoming acquainted with Colt. It reminds me of scenes in Dishonored and Dishonored 2 when the mark is assigned to the player for the first time. Could this be Colt coming across something that enables him to manipulate and retain these abilities, as well as gain access to that time hub we saw earlier? We do get cut off with a clip of Ramblin' Frank before we see what exactly was happening, and we're instead shown what could be his mansion. My mind just went straight to those windows up there and connected them to the early concept art, which shows an interior very heavily influenced by retrofuturism and the music industry. It seems to fit the bill for Frank's type of home, or at least the type of place we could find him. I believe now we're inside the building and we're about to use an ability. However, this ability seems to glow purple, which makes me think that certain abilities do just have their own unique glow. I mentioned before we have previously seen Colt use abilities that have emitted a golden kind of glow. This purple glowing ability is invisibility. The proper name for it is unknown at this time, but it's an ability we haven't seen showcased before. In fact, not even in the Dishonored series is there an ability that is just straight up going invisible. So we finally get a look at an ability I actually can't relate to Dishonored. It's also possible that this ability is one that we obtain from fighting Igor Serling. Igor goes somewhat invisible during combat with just a purple aura where he stands in the Two Birds One Stone trailer. This might explain the purple glow when going invisible. It might also mean it's not 100% invisibility, so standing directly in front of an enemy probably isn't an option either. That would just be too easy, really. And we have to remember, there's potentially another player that's going to be tracking us down too. Can't make it too hard for them. Colt stealths through the building, dodging what looks to be a type of security sensor as he makes his way to find Rambling Frank. But it's not too long until we're reminded that we are still being hunted by Juliana, who holds her own unique abilities. The one she shows here being Masquerade. Similar to Billy Lurk's semblance in Death of the Outsider, Juliana can take the form of other NPCs in order to fool Colt. Colt is taken down by Juliana and is back at the crash site. This is Deathloop being sung in the background. Such a great original song for the game. It's also available on Spotify along with a Deathloop themed playlist curated by the Deathloop developers. I'll post the link in the description. Now, back to the trailer. We're back into combat. Colt has used the blink-like ability to charge into an enemy and send them through what appears to be a large letter O. I have a feeling that it could be a possible little combat achievement, but don't hold me to that. This location seems a little different again, but we can see some water behind the military truck, and if we go back a little bit, we can see that Colt is shown standing in front of that large arc, and as we approach the enemy, we can see the arc in the background, which means we could now be on the right side of the island, maybe on this peninsula part. We could even be near Alexis Dorsey's mansion on this peninsula. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out this map of Black Reef with all the locations we've seen in the different trailers, but every time I think I get it, I really don't. So it would be nice to finally put all those pieces together when the game comes out. This place is obviously quite influenced by the island's military past, and these NPCs are definitely taking an inspiration from the environment in their style. Colt gets a little creative with his kill here and uses Kinesis to throw an enemy into the air, attaches an explosive to them, and lets them fall back down on the other enemies below. Moving on to another environment, Colt blinks up to a rooftop, demonstrating more of that verticality in the game that we can take advantage of, and gives us a better look at this little town we're in. I don't feel like we've been here before, maybe not during the day. On the left we see this pretty spooky looking building I definitely haven't seen before, with the words Fathoms of something, maybe Lament? Spray painted in orange above the entry. We see the word Fortune as well for a split second as Colt jumps down to attack the next enemy, but we don't get to see much more of it clearer than that. It's possible that it does read Fathoms of Lament, seek your fortune. As to what visionary I could link to that, I'm not really sure at this point. A little animated interlude once again reminds us of the time limit we have and the pressures we'll face, aka Juliana. A brutal cinematic of her killing Colt as it ends, but the loop just brings Colt back in a different way. Running through the interiors of the inhabitants' homes, we see a lot more simple detail and possible storytelling for the general population of Black Reef. One of my favourite things to do in Dishonored 2 is to investigate all the open apartments I could to learn about the citizens in the area. I'd also like to point out this poster on the left, Roscoe and Wyatt. It's the second time we've seen a poster featuring names we can't yet connect to anyone. The first actually being back here as Colt engages with his invisibility power, Carmen. I wonder who these people are. Are they from Black Reef? Maybe they're television stars keeping inhabitants entertained, or musicians perhaps. Colt uses a glass bottle to stagger the NPC before using their teleportation ability to quickly approach them and assassinate them. As Colt climbs out the window, we're greeted by what looks to be an entrance to Alexis Dorsey's mansion. And if I'm correct, this for sure pops us on the peninsula here. Colt then teleports into the next building, but chooses to run and break through the boarded up window on the other side to escape, rolling into a scene and location change. This is actually where I feel a little confused in terms of mapping location. I was sure that Frank Spice's mansion was somewhere over on the left side, but this kind of looks like we're on the right side of the arc. So either I'm completely wrong about Spice's location, or this is in one of my guest locations, or we're just in a more modern-esque part of Alexis Dorsey's area, or somewhere new completely. What throws me off is the expand your mind we can see on the right there, but if we switch to vision of Frank Spice's possible base, it does look a little different on the roof there, so it could definitely just be another area with the same sign. And this light thing isn't the same as whatever this aerial thing is on the right. Sorry guys, this is what goes through my mind when I watch these, and I just thought I'd share. Colt switches weapons with ease to take out enemies with style points, adding to those style points in his interaction with Juliana, who teleports into the scene but quickly gets swept up in Carnesis and thrown to the side and off the cliff. We now get a little look at one of the other Visionaries, dancing away in her base, as well as the new polished look of the Aeon program's logo and another look at an unnamed Visionary. This Visionary seems to be giving a speech that an adoring fan is taking in while symbolizing their support by making a triangle with their hands, likely to emulate the triangle symbol we've seen representing the Aeon program previously. I also kind of want to talk about this statue briefly. I have also noticed some very slight undertones of Egyptian styling, the most obvious influence in Deathloop being Alexis Dorsey's mask, which is very similar from my perspective to the ancient Egyptian god Anubis, depicted as a man with a canine head. Anubis is also the god of death, which seems super fitting for Alexis Dorsey, who seems to have a cult all about death. As well as this, the Aeon program symbol is a triangle, and there might be some small comparisons you could make between the Aeon program and the Illuminati, which is represented by a pyramid with an eye. The eye represents the all-seeing eye of God, and as we know, the Aeon program is always watching the citizens of Black Reef. It's an experiment. I can't find a similar figure or potential Egyptian god that this particular statue might in some way be representing, but it definitely has a touch of that Egyptian styling to it. And I think to me it's mostly the hairstyle, but it does also remind me of Leonardo da Vinci's drawing The Vitruvian Man, which visualizes da Vinci's perspective of the perfect human body proportions. And if that is the goal with this statue, I could imagine it symbolizing the perfect individual for the population of Black Reef, encouraging them to expand their minds and therefore become these perfect individuals. Coming to the end of the gameplay trailer, Colt actually reveals a new ability, but what it is, I'm not really sure. The reddish pink ability looks like something that may boost Colt's health and apply damage reduction. The edges of the player's vision are a little blurred, like a rage, but then as he nears Ramblin' Frank, it's like the ability truly gets set off and knocks him back onto the piano and then onto the ground. Maybe it absorbs damage and reflects it back onto a target? Who knows? We also get a good look at a stylish pistol at the end here with a glittery blam on it. We fade into a recording studio-like area and switch scenes to Colt coming across a heavily secured location. Will there be a way to navigate through the beams? Perhaps we can hack them and turn them off. We don't get to see what happens next. As the trailer comes to an end, Colt is threatening the remaining Visionaries. Now I have to say, that was a fantastic gameplay trailer, and I have been so impressed with them thus far. Deathloop releases on the 21st of May on PC and PS5, But unfortunately, as we can see on the bottom, Xbox players won't be getting their hands on the game for a whole year. Sorry Xbox fans, exclusivity sucks. Thank you guys so much for listening to my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. Please leave a like if you did, and let's have a chat in the comments. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye!